Hey, Real Nerds listeners, your favorite host Ryan here to remind you that social media is great. How great is it? There's many ways you can find the Real Nerds on social media. You can download us on iTunes. You can listen to us streaming on Stitcher Radio. You can call us 720-6nerds5. Aw man, our website is so cool. You can visit our website, realnerdspodcast.com. You want to leave some fan mail? Oh, that's so easy, realnerds@gmail.com. Twitter? We got it, @real_nerds. You can even like us on Facebook. Thank you so much, and hey, enjoy the show. Welcome to Real Nerds at Denver Comic Con 2015. We hope you enjoy the following interview.
Welcome to the Real Nerds Podcast, live here on the Denver Comic Con floor. I am joined by Sean. Sean, how you doing today?
Doing fantastic, sir. How are you?
Cool. I'm doing just fine. Is this your first Denver Comic Con?
This is. I've actually attended every year as an attendee, and all previous years I've been downstairs, helping out in the game area and whatnot. But first year on the main floor. Yeah.
This year you have an ulterior motive.
Yeah. So we're here selling all of our products this year.
So what do you tell me a little bit about what you do?
Oh, so Mr. B Games is a company I started about 2 years ago.
Cool.
And we publish board games and card games, tabletop games.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. What kind of games do you do? Where can people find you?
We sell through all the retailers. So we're through major distribution.
Cool.
So you can pick us up at any online shops or friendly local game shops.
Cool.
And then we've got 4 titles. We released 2 games last year.
Okay.
We've released 2 games so far this year, and we've got a few more in queue.
Cool. So what kind of games are they? All like deck building games? Are they board games? What kind of games are you usually working on? Or are they
we're kind of a mixed bag. So
cool.
Like our first 2 titles that we released, we have a game called Alien Uprising, which
cool.
is by Richard Lanius, who did Arkham Horror.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so he's the designer of that.
So it is extremely robust and takes a long time to get through.
You got it. So it's about a 2.5-hour game. It's a cooperative game, though.
Yeah.
Unlike Arkham. To an extent, I guess you can play Arkham co-op, but
yeah.
The idea is you're a crew of a crashed starship. You've crashed on a planet, and then you have to work together to kind of run around and find all the parts that fall off the ship and fix it and get off the rock before the aliens come popping up out of the sand and tearing your ship apart.
Cool.
So a little Starship Trooper-y, kind of pitch black, kind of.
That's neat.
Kind of an idea. Then the second game we released after that is Spurs.
Okay.
And it's a sandbox Western. It's got similarities to like how Red Dead Redemption might be.
Sure.
Would be my closest comparison.
Yeah.
But really kind of a do anything that you want world. You go rustling horses,
fighting a bear.
Roping cattle, shooting bears, right.
Yeah.
You can do literally all of that, robbing banks.
Cool.
Shooting other guys. You can get into gunfights, duels where you're actually pulling bullets out of a bag in real time and having real-time gunfights with other people. And
neat.
It's a very, very cool game. It's by far been our bestseller. We're on to a second reprint. We got a new expansion out for it, all that good stuff. So it's been one of our best. Got really, really high praise marks in 2014, and we're super excited about it.
Very cool.
Then this year we're releasing 2 new ones.
Okay.
And we thought we were going on the circuit, Origins and Gen Con.
Okay.
These were our 2 for them, but Denver Comic Con is our debut for these.
Cool.
And the response has been awesome. We actually have the designer of Realm of Heroes here today. He's been running demos in the booth all day long, and we've had people in and out all day. The game's been selling great, way better than what we expected for the show. And it's kind of an area control. The king's dead, and we're all trying to take over in the area.
Cool.
No luck, no dice rolling, no card playing. It's just straight strategy.
Oh, cool.
My guys and your guys, and how do I move and what area do I take? And
cool.
Really, really fun game. And then our other game is Clockwork Kingdom, and that's kind of a worker placement. So kind of like I'd equate it to like Lords of Waterdeep. Might be the newest one that people know, right? So I've got 4 or 5 actions. I have to on my turn, I play one of those actions, then you play one, then I play one, then you play one. And, the entire board has 8 areas that are all phenomenal and fantastic, and I want to do them all, but I've only got 5 actions.
Right.
And, tough choices, and then did your plan execute better than mine at the end, most victory points type
right.
scenario.
Very cool.
So, those are the 4 we have currently out. And then we did 2 on Kickstarter this year so far, and we have a couple more geared up to go later this year as well.
Those are always my favorite ones because for me, the less chance involved, the better chance I'll win. To be completely honest with you,
Exactly.
With my group of friends, like for some reason, I was always the guy who would rarely win unless it was a game where I had a lot more control over. Like there was this running joke in my group of friends that like if I want to get like when we first got Dominion and I won a couple games the first night we played and they were like, this game must be broken.
Oh, yeah.
There's something wrong with this one if James can actually win this one. So that's cool. I like that.
You know what's funny is I always have a funny Dominion story. The first time I played Dominion was in prototype form.
Okay.
And I'd played it with Donald X had designed, I don't know, hundreds of cards.
Yeah.
And from what I understand is the prototype we played with, we were playing with cards that were released years in advance, like
Right.
years later.
Yeah.
So what would happen is I would play Dominion with my friends, and somebody would be like, "Oh, check it out! We're going to play this with this new expansion," and they'd bring this card, and I would go like, "Oh, well, that works like this. I've played this before," and everybody would look at me and they were like, "No, you haven't. It came out last week, right? Like, how could you have played it?" And I'm
Right.
like, "I swear to you, I've played this guy."
Yeah.
And it never dawned on me for like 2 years. It's because I had played maybe a dozen games of it in the prototype.
Yeah. That's
So
cool.
it's always funny, like, you know, it was surreal though. You know, then the last expansion came out for it, and it was like, oh, what happened? You know, and so it was
Yeah.
kind of an odd but
Very
fun.
cool. No, that's neat. So let's take a step back. When did you get into board games? Well, you know, what's your story there?
You know, I got into Redbox D&D in 1980.
Okay.
I have a brother that's 5 years older than me, and you know, he got D&D at age 9. I was 5. We played D&D, and then at some point we got into Axis and Allies and Risk and board games and stuff like that. And you know, at 12, 13, I started playing all the Game Master series, Shogun and Fortress America, which is probably still one of my all-time favorites. And then
Yeah.
it just kind of went from there and there and there. And 2005, I self-published my first game, which was a card game.
Okay, cool.
And I went down the circuit. I went to all the trade shows, and I hit up all the publishers and tried to get my game published. And
Yeah.
it didn't work, but I wound up joining a demo team for Eagle Games, and I was, you know, I would just show up at their booth and run games all day, and you know, they'd take care of you, kind of a thing. And I literally am one of those guys that I walked the entire ladder. I worked every job along the way.
Yeah.
I got hired by them to pack boxes in their warehouse and sweep the floors. Right, and
Yeah.
I did that for a while, and then the guy that was in charge of sales didn't show up one day, and
Next thing you know,
and
you're
they
in
said,
charge
"Hey,
of
do
sales.
sales," and then you do pretty good at that, and then you're head of sales, and then it literally just went down the line. And about 2 years ago, I left that company after
Gotcha.
7 years and started my own because
Cool.
I just said, you know, I really like the games that I'm doing, and I just felt like there was nowhere else to go where I was,
Yeah.
and so I was like, well, the only challenge left is to do it all on your own. So.
Did you guys do any crowdfunding at all?
When I was there, we did do crowdfunding prior. We had done a few campaigns here and there. I'd maybe run a dozen of them for them. And pretty much all the campaigns I did were really successful, and it was kind of one of those, we were back and forth on whether we were going to do it or not.
Yeah.
And I looked at crowdfunding as, wow, I could, me as just a regular guy without a line of credit at a bank or whatever, I could do this for a living. If I go to crowdfunding with one of my game ideas, like, I could make it. Like,
Right.
I could actually make this happen. And I left, and my first crowdfunded game did over $100,000.
Man.
And it was awesome, right? And I was off to the races. And I do, you know, a couple a year, and every time they get bigger and bigger and bigger. And
That's cool.
I love the idea of crowdfunding. I support games myself every month or two.
Yeah.
You know, I probably back 2 or 3 things a month because
Yeah.
I feel like the community gave to me, I should give back to the community.
Absolutely.
You know?
And it's interesting because one of the things that's so fantastic about it, it's not just, hey, here's this cool opportunity for if I've got a good idea for me to actually get the money to do it. It's also encouraging to some degree because that way you know people actually want it, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Like, there is always this. I was talking to a writer earlier today where there is this sort of concern sometimes where you're creating something new and there's this doubt in your mind where you're just like, well, is this really, like, I think this is cool, but am I alone?
Oh,
and
absolutely.
especially if you're going to take a big step like that, if you're going to leave a job you have, throw a lot of your security out the window, if you know up front that there is an audience there, even if you do go like a Kickstarter route and you don't get funded, but you get mostly funded, like, that takes away so much of the I would think the fear that's there, where you go like, okay, I know exactly where the audience is, and honestly, now I have their email address and I can get in touch with them, right?
Yeah. Well,
most of them have already bought the product. I just have to go make it, and I have to make it good now.
Well, it's the doubt and the risk. So after that first game, I really considered, well, I'll just make the games I want to make, right?
Right.
Because I'm off to the races. I don't need Kickstarter now, right?
Oh, yeah.
But I went to a bank and said, here's what I did on my own. Here's what I sold. And the banks, like, laugh at me. They're like, we're not going to loan you money. And I'm like, wait a minute, I've been doing this for 10 years. Like, right?
Yeah.
I'm not a brand new company. And, like, I was able to do this with crowdfunding. Like, imagine if you guys were to loan me some money, like, how much damage I could do. And they were just like, eh. So I was like, well, heck with that, I'll just keep crowdfunding, right? Because why wouldn't I? You know,
right.
and every time, like I said, they just keep going and going. And you're right. You get 300 or 400 people on a game, and it just kind of does, you know, right up the run of the mill. You go, okay, I know how many to print for that demand, and I'm not going to be stuck with a warehouse full of games. But like a prime example, we just did one about a month ago, and we set a goal for $30,000, very modest goal.
Right.
We thought in our wildest dreams maybe we get 50, 60,000. We funded $330,000.
Holy shit!
5,300 backers.
Wow.
Biggest print run I've ever made in my life, even when I worked at Eagle. Bigger than anything I ever made over there. And you know what? That tells me, guess what? We're onto something here.
Yeah.
We've got one. This might be our hit. Right?
Yeah.
This might be our Dominion.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it was like, okay.
Because you only need one.
You got it. But when you see that reality hit, you go, okay, I'm going to take everything we made in here and make as much of this game as we can, and that's what we're going to put, right? That's going to be our big release next year. Mm-hmm. You know, and we're so excited because we get to go into 2016 knowing we have a product that a lot of people really like, and it's super exciting. The game's called Posthuman, and it's kind of a take on, it's not zombies, but it's kind of like a survival horror, I guess.
Post-apocalyptic, like, I got you,
and
sure.
Very unique, unlike any other board game I've really seen, and
cool.
So excited to be a part of it.
That's really neat.
And the beauty is it was a game pitched to me as a company. It wasn't a game I designed or put out under my own. It was something somebody came to me and said, hey, will you help us publish this? And I read through the rules, I played it once, and I went, this is amazing.
Yeah.
And I had a post-apocalyptic game of my own, and I said, I'm just going to
throw mine out.
I'm going to throw mine out and sign yours.
Yeah,
because
burn
yours
everything to the ground. This
yours
is what I need.
Superior to mine, right?
Yeah.
That's what you got to do when you're going to go out there and start a business. You know, you have to be subjective. And,
absolutely.
It's fantastic. And we have another one going on Kickstarter, like currently, right now. It ends in 4 days.
Oh, okay.
And it's a miniatures game. Big, epic, kind of a throwback to my history. It's like Axis and Allies and Shogun and all those big, giant games rolled into one, right? It's a big, giant fantasy game called War Quest.
Okay.
And it's got hundreds of miniatures, big, giant board. And the idea is... I always equate it to like Might and Magic, those old Heroes of Might and Magic video games, meets the Dark Tower. If those two things were to make a game, that's in my mind what WarQuest feels like.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I'm a big 3DO fan, so that sounds cool.
I know, I love it, and the designer for me comes full circle. He was the original owner of Eagle Games that gave me my shot 10 years ago.
No shit.
Yeah. So,
wow.
Again, you give back to the community, right? And you give back to people that gave you a break, and all of a sudden, boom. Right? And so, to me, that's what I love about this industry, this community. Coming to Comic-Con, high-fiving Spider-Mans when you walk down the aisle. I mean, this is like being home. I mean, this really is, you know.
Yeah. You feel like you are surrounded by your people.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's really fun.
And all people do. And everybody that came up to us today, wow, these are a bunch of normal guys, right? We're not a bunch of corporates or a bunch of guys in suits and ties.
Yeah.
You know, and it's good to know, right? It's good to know that the products that I buy and support in nerd culture and geek culture come from geeks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's awesome.
Absolutely. Because you don't want it to, not that Steve Jackson is this way, but like you assume if you've never met Steve Jackson, you would think like he's this guy in a suit somewhere who's like, if I can create the right game in a vat, I will make all the money. Like, the next Munchkin is going to make me all the money in the world.
Right.
You know?
Well,
you want it to just be some cool guys trying to make something neat.
Agreed. And the cool thing about the Steve Jackson guys is I love the fact that I know they got some flack for running a Kickstarter or two, and I think it's phenomenal.
Yeah.
They ran games that they published 30 years ago and said, hey, is there really demand for this?
Right.
We don't know. We don't think so.
Right.
We were messing around. We were kids cutting our teeth on these games.
Right.
Right? I mean, they were literally trying to pioneer a genre, why would somebody think that that Ogre would be popular again?
And because honestly, the market for games at the time was very different. Like, before you had that influx of European games, and this honestly radically different way of thinking about how a victory is achieved in a board game. Like before all of that, those games were really simple.
Oh yeah.
You look back at it and like you compare any Steve Jackson games to like Race to the Galaxy or Seven Wonders or something like that, where there's a lot of complicated movement. You're like, this is kind of baby stuff. Does anybody really want this? So it makes sense that they would go to their audience and say like, hey, do you actually want, like, do you care about this?
Right. It's funny. We just moved and we were going through some old paperwork.
Yeah.
And I found a certificate that I won at the hacker tournament from Steve Jackson.
Yeah.
At a local event I had won first place in 1990.
Wow.
For playing one of their card games. And that was before Catan. Catan was 95.
Oh, yeah.
And you think about that, they were making games of that caliber back then, and you just go, phenomenal. Yeah. And I mean, there was a point in time where it didn't matter what the companies put out, right? There were five, 6 companies making games, making 4 or 5 games a year, and I owned them all, right? You buy 15, 20 games a year, no problem. Now it's a sea of games. You have so many choices. There's hundreds of companies you could buy games from. And, for me, it's just it's an honor and a privilege to be able to do this for a living,
So I actually have, when I was in high school and early college, some of my friends who, they work in video games, in the video game industry now, but one of them in particular was constantly, like, working on different versions of his own board games, and, like, I've tested a number of his games, and some of them were really kind of cool ideas. Different kind of maps and different kind of play styles and all that. He was trying to think outside of the box. What would you say to somebody like that who is trying to create their own board games? How does somebody like that get into the industry? How does somebody like that get some exposure? And what trends should they be looking at moving forward?
I'd say 4 or 5 years ago, pre-Kickstarter, it was difficult. You had to bang on every door. You had to go to the conventions, walk around, shop, shake hands, right? Do all that stuff. Now I think Kickstarter makes it a little easier. First-time designer going out there and putting up their idea is a huge thing. My advice I always tell people is decide if you want to publish your game or if you want to design your game. Because if you want to be a designer, there are so many companies out there now, especially with the emergence of Kickstarter. Find somebody who can help you publish the game, so you don't have to do all that legwork and attend all these shows and do everything that comes with publishing the game. If you just want to make it and see your baby go to life, find somebody that'll help you, and there are plenty of publishers that'll help you. That's what I tell people now is, find your identity.
Right.
If you're really good at designing games, then, design your games and have somebody else, manufacture them for you.
Right.
If you're really good at making the idea and you just really love the concept and you're a do-it-yourself kind of guy and you love going to shows and things like that, then maybe consider, going the Kickstarter route and self-publishing it.
Yeah.
That's kind of my thought anymore.
Is it divided up in a way where, like, if somebody went to Kickstarter, they could then come to you even afterwards and say, like, look, I raised this money to do this. Now I need somebody who can, like, actually do some of this stuff. Is there an avenue there, or should they come find a publisher before they even go to Kickstarter?
A lot of people prefer if you do it ahead of time, right, so the company can help you.
Sure.
Myself, if it's a good game, I'm willing to help anybody.
Yeah.
That's what I've been doing myself personally this last year is I've been picking up studios, friends of mine, people that I know in the industry, people that I've seen around that are, they just come to me, hey, I'm having a really hard time doing something like this. And I just say, cool, come with me. I know a factory, I'll get you a quote, right? It doesn't take me any much more time. And as being a small company, as a guy who used to work for a big company, I always tell people safety in numbers.
Yeah.
Right? If 4 or 5 of us band together and we all share containers to ship our products on, we all save money.
Yeah, absolutely.
Steve Jackson, not to always come back to him, but Steve Jackson, they can afford to bring over 3 or 4 full containers by themselves.
Right.
Of just Munchkin.
Of just Munchkin expansions.
You know what I mean?
Like they take up 2 inches in the container.
Exactly, but they fill up the entire box because they make so many and because they're so popular.
Right.
A guy like me that makes a couple thousand games, right? Hey, safety in numbers. If I got a couple thousand games and you got a couple and he's got a couple, we could fill up 1 container together.
Yeah.
Or 2 together, and then everybody saves a little bit of money. That's what I do. So I'm always there to help anybody, but I could see it go both ways. If you had a big success and then you decided after your Kickstarter, hey, I don't want to do this stuff, I think you could still shop around and find a publisher.
Gotcha.
I think there's guys out there that would help you. I would. So if you're out there and you
There's
made a
the
bunch,
ad.
if you're out there and you made a bunch of money on Kickstarter and you want some help, call me.
Very cool. I have one more interesting question, just that
Sure.
came across my mind here. For a while now, I've seen a lot of some of what I guess I would call classic modern board games. So your Catans, your Carcassonnes, those get like digital versions or mini game, Xbox versions.
Sure.
What does that industry look like right now? It's a thing that I always thought was kind of awesome, because you look at how many people are playing games like Hearthstone or stuff like that, where if I'm sitting around my house, I don't have any, and I want to play a game, but I don't have anybody to go play with, like a physical version. I would, of course, always rather, if I got my friends together, it's more fun for the social aspect to sit and play it.
Absolutely.
Is that getting more pervasive in the industry? Are there a lot of people working on it, or are there some really tough hurdles in between the industry that you're in and getting the video game industry to actually understand what a value that is?
I think there's hurdles just because the app made it accessible, but the programming portion is such a beast that, you know what I mean? The cost, it's a barrier for sure.
Oh, yeah.
It makes sense for Ticket to Ride to do an app, right? Everybody plays it. They've sold, 3-4 million copies or something like that is what's on their box now.
Right.
That's a pretty accessible thing, and for a company of their size, I mean, not that they're a big company, but they've sold so many units, that's an easy tool for them to go make.
Yeah.
For a small guy, that's a tough one.
Right.
Now, I've seen a lot of companies are actually running Kickstarter campaigns to kickstart for their app, which I think is kind of clever, right?
Yeah.
Because like you said, you gauge interest. Is there a reason for me to go buy a programmer, hire a programmer to program this? And if lots of people are saying yes, there is, then you hire a guy and you go do it, right?
Right.
But for me, I haven't really delved in the arena of apps just yet. I'm looking into it with our Posthuman game. Ironically enough, those guys are app programmers that made the board game to help them refine the app, so the app would be rock solid. And they came to me because they said, we don't know anything about board games. Help us with our board game.
Cool.
So I was like, that's great. And so I get the benefit of they'll eventually do an app for the game.
Right.
So I'll have the board game version and they'll have the app.
Cool.
So we'll get the cross-promotion between each other. And it was a great partnership. And I do hope to continue to make more and more apps with them.
Cool.
Or find another studio or in conjunction with two other studios where we can do more digital stuff.
Yeah.
Because I think digital is important. I think everybody's got an iPad or a Kindle now, or even a phone that can do that. I mean, I downloaded the Star Realms one, right?
Yeah.
On my phone, and it's, you can ride on a plane and play a couple of hands of Star Realms, and it's a blast.
Yeah, I mean, it's very particular to the game, right? Like your Lords of Waterdeep or your Pathfinders or some of those games are probably not games that I think a lot of people are going to play digital versions of. But some of the ones where you can pick them up and play a 20-minute game makes a lot of sense.
Right. Well, if they were hot seated, maybe right on a Kindle or an iPad,
True.
You could pass it
around.
around.
Yeah, that's not
but
bad.
but to your point, as a solo play at Lords of Waterdeep probably wouldn't be so much fun, right?
Right.
I mean, great game, great social game, but but agreed. So I mean, that's kind of my take on it. Is I think there's so much potential in our industry.
Cool.
And especially when you see the way comic books have exploded over the last decade, you go like, that could happen in games. And
oh, hell yeah.
Man, would I love to be
honestly,
a part of that.
Like, at least in my world, I feel like it is happening in games, right? Like, you honestly, you go back to the Steve Jackson thing.
Yeah.
When I was in middle school and high school and I was playing D&D and I was going to my local game shop, the shelves were just covered in Steve Jackson games.
Sure.
Right? There was Illuminati and there was Munchkin, and that's what you played.
Right.
And then, in the early 2000s, you started getting a lot of you got your Catans coming in. Carcassonne was out there, but I got exposed to it. And as those started to take off, all of a sudden, you get your Puerto Ricos and your Ticket to Rides and like all of these German games that just started blowing up. And you're like, oh, now you can go to those game shops and like half of those games you pick up might not even be in English. Like it's crazy, you know.
It's true.
I think it is blowing up quite a bit.
Oh no, I agree. I mean,
yeah.
I just from the media side, like from the
Oh, I see what you're saying.
right?
Yeah.
I think because of the way comic books have kind of transcended over into movies
Yes.
and all that stuff,
Yes.
you know, and I think everything kind of television, movie, film. I think you might be seeing that in games, and actually, Fantasy Flight, in my opinion, is kind of bridging that gap with they're bringing over Game of Thrones and Star Wars, right? So now they're bringing out Star Wars games that are obviously going to tie to the new movies and stuff like that. So there's always the licensed possibilities and potentials out there too.
Yeah, I mean the real bridge is when you go from having nerds play those games to having like when my mom plays Lords of Waterdeep, that will be like a watershed event in the board gaming world, right? Like when my mom or like people who would normally she gets on a plane, she plays Djinn.
Yeah.
Like when those people start playing these complicated board games that are very, very different, that's when you're going to start seeing the whole thing just blow up.
I had that moment last Christmas, right?
Yeah.
My sister-in-law and my brother-in-law, who are not gamers, don't play stuff, they look at me as the resident nerd, right? They're like, oh, our nerdy brother did this, G.I. Joe and comic book games, right? Which is hilarious because I don't do either, but
but
they try,
assume,
right? And they say, we went to this thing and we holiday party, right? And we had a blast and we played this game and it was like super offensive with cards. And the second they said it, I'm like, they played Cards Against Humanity.
Yeah.
And to me, I go, hey, like the fact that
it's totally your world, yeah.
But really, at the end of the day, the fact that a bunch of normal non-gamers were at a holiday party having a couple of glasses of wine, and for entertainment, they decided to play a fun little word game.
Yep.
You go, that's all it takes, right?
Yep.
It's the same thing as somebody going to see the Avengers in the movie theater, right?
Yeah.
Might not be a comic book fan, but you went to see the movie and it was entertaining, and then maybe you step foot in the comic book shop and say, I'd like to buy the new Captain America graphic novel because it's not as corny as buying a comic book.
Right.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
And so, to me, it just opens up the door to the world,
100%.
And I love this. You walk around on this show floor and you see the extreme people and you see the average everyday people. Like moms walking with their kids, and their kids are all in costume, and the mom is just walking normal in a normal dress. She has no interest in this culture, but her 4-year-old, her 6-year-old, and her 12-year-old are all having a blast dressed up as Superman. So they all come anyway, and to me that means we've all made it. Really, at the end of the day.
This isn't really related, but earlier today I saw a woman who was dressed up as Gamora, and her, I believe, daughter was dressed up as Rocket Raccoon. Oh, it was the most amazing Rocket Raccoon anyone could ever be.
Oh, that's
it was
fantastic.
so good. It was so cool.
The best story I saw from here is in the very far back. They have like all the clubs are there, with all their real life props.
Yeah,
and
the 501 and the Raccoon Cities and the
yeah, exactly. And so they had a gun from Hoth.
Oh, cool.
Right, and one of the Star Wars props. And this little kid, I mean, he couldn't have been 3 feet tall, right? He reaches up to this giant turret, right, with his hands way above his head, and he grabs this turret and pulls it down so he could shoot it. And he pulls the little triggers, and the thing lights up and goes, pa-choo, pa-choo, right, makes all this noise.
Yeah.
And at the moment he did that, the Spider-Man guy was walking by, and guy had the quickest wit, right? He hears this kid pull the gun down in the tower, and he takes a flop. In front of all these people in the walkway on the concrete, just falls down, and this little kid's jaw drops because he thinks he just shot Spider-Man with the gun from Hoth. And I was like, I was there to witness this. I literally stopped. I know, and I'm like, only at Comic-Con, and I was here. I was there for that. And the guy laid there. It wasn't like, and then he got up like, haha. He laid there for a good minute.
Right.
And
it's
people
like,
were
I'm
laughing.
selling this one.
And all of us, we were like, did that just happen?
Maybe Spider-Man's really dead.
Maybe it's over.
Right. Yeah. That's too cool.
I love when those worlds can collide.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show, Sean. It sounds really interesting. Really quick, one more time. How do people find you? How can they be supportive? Where do we go?
www.mrbgames.com
Cool.
is my website, and it has all my information. You can sign up for mailing lists to learn about any of our games or products. There's a product page on every single one of the games that we make. Usually on the front page, there's a link to whatever Kickstarter we're working on at the time. And,
very cool.
Yeah, that's the best way to find us.
Sweet. Well, thanks for coming and hanging out with us.
Thanks for having me, man.
Fun.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this exclusive Real Nerds interview at Denver Comic-Con 2015, and we'll see you next year. Visit our website, realnerdspodcast.com. You can tweet us at real_nerds. You can email us even, realnerds@gmail.com. Like us on Facebook. Hey, stream us on Stitcher. You want to call us? 720-6nerds5. And download us on iTunes. Just search Real Nerds. Thank you, Joe Kempter, for the wonderful voiceover. And also Spark Mandrill for the wonderful late-night jazz smooth sounds of movies. You can find him on SoundCloud. This has been a Nebulous Visions production.